Celtic were 1 minute away from going to extra time against Bayern Munich for a spot in the last 16 of the Champions League, but one ALPHONSO DAVIES goal later, and the Scottish champions are going back home. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Football. Sometimes life isn't fair, and that probably sums up this game tonight. Celtic leading Bayern Munich, got their goal in the second half, holding on right until the last minute of the game, and then an ALPHONSO DAVIES goal, the equaliser for Bayern Munich, with literally almost the last kick of the game. Celtic were given time to take a kick off, but pretty much the last kick of the game, ALPHONSO DAVIES gets the equaliser. I mean, it's not even a good goal. It just hits off him. Carter Ficker's attempted clearance hits off ALPHONSO DAVIES and bundles into the back of the net, man. Very unlucky for Celtic, very unlucky and a bad night for Scottish football. So close to forcing extra time in a game that Celtic showed they can be just as good as Bayern Munich. A game where Celtic showed that they can compete with the top teams in Europe. But unfortunately, you know, just one stroke of bad luck where Schmeichel makes a save. Carter Vickers, could he do better? Could he react differently? I think it's instinct for him just to try and swipe at the ball and clear it away, but unfortunately for him, ALPHONSO DAVIES is coming in behind, and you know it hits off him and goes in the back of the net. I mean, maybe if Carter Vickers took a split second, he could have shielded the ball for ALPHONSO DAVIES and kicked it the other way, but I think it would be harsh to blame Carter Vickers for this because, I mean, he put in a good performance tonight, so is what it is. Cal McGregor, post-match, looked in tears. Don't really blame him. Must be a bad night for him to be so close to getting into extra time and then not getting the chance. And look, I'm not convinced Celtic would have won the tie because, I mean, when they did go up, Bayern Munich opened up and Bayern Munich came forward and Bayern Munich were creating a lot of chances, and towards the end Celtic were certainly riding their luck, and I mean, who's to say that Bayern wouldn't have won this in extra time? Maybe they would have. Penalties, it's 50-50. But to not get the opportunity because of this late goal is sickening. Absolutely sickening. So, yeah, we will get into the review, but this leaves just one team then from Scotland remaining in the European competitions. We've said goodbye to St Mirren, Kilmarnock. We then said goodbye to Hearts. Now we say goodbye to Celtic, and Rangers are the only team remaining. And I'm sure that Big Stevie Cool is a big ALPHONSO DAVIES fan right now. I'm sure he is celebrating somewhere, wherever he is at this moment in time. But let's get into the start of the game, though. Celtic, I thought, started really well. Again, the press was phenomenal. They win it. McGregor is the first one to really win the ball with the press, and he gets a chance through on goal. He should do a lot better here. He doesn't hit the target. I mean, he has to hit the target. He has to work the goalkeeper, and it's nowhere near. Very disappointing. But 10 minutes after that, you get a great run from Jota, going past multiple men. He picks out Kuhn on the opposite side, and Kuhn takes a touch and then hits a shot, and it's a very tame shot, like just no power behind it. It was on target, but it was cleared off the line, never really going in. The attack didn't end there, though. Celtic still managed to keep possession of the ball. The ball comes into Hatate. He hits a lovely first-time flick, plays it into the path of Engels, who then puts it across the 6-yard box. Maida was running in. He slid in, tried to get something on it, but just wasn't able to get to it. Another really good chance there. And then Maida, like a minute after that, had another good opportunity where Celtic again, high press, won the ball. Maida had time to take a touch. He had time to maybe play in Kuhn. He decided to hit it first time. He tried to catch Neuer off his line. Unfortunately, he put that one over the bar. So, I mean, Celtic within the opening 20 minutes could have scored multiple goals. Now, people are saying if those goals went in, they could have won the game, which they could have, but at the same time, I think if Celtic scored that early, they may have sat back more, and that may have allowed Bayern Munich to, you know, come on to them a lot earlier in the game. But they should have scored at least one of those goals. There's no doubt about that. A few minutes later, Schmeichel has a decent save from Kane. I thought this was offside, though. I believe that Bayern Munich got a corner from it, but it looked like, for me, Kane was offside in the build-up. And then, I mean, the game kind of settled out for a bit. Before half-time, Kane hit the crossbar. crossbar there coming to the aid of Celtic. Then we get into the second half, no changes. We had a couple of good saves from Schmeichel. Ida then came on for Jota, who'd ran his race. He was pretty knackered at that point. Then Dyson Maeda, again, not giving up the pressing the defenders. He wins the ball, and then he's in a foot race, and he manages to get to it before the Bayern player. Then the ball rolls towards Kuhn, who gets into like a 50-50, and the ball just breaks for him in front of goal. An amazing opportunity, and he just slots it in past Neuer to make it 1-0. At this point, you're thinking, fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. Celtic are 1-0 up. The tie's level, 2-2 in aggregate. But unfortunately for Kuhn, he suffered an injury, or I don't know if it was, I think it was something to do with his leg. Not too sure, maybe a muscle pull or something like that. He had to go off for Yang, and I mean, no disrespect to Yang, but when you're taking off Kuhn for Yang and you're playing Bayern Munich, you kind of know that you're in trouble. But the chances didn't end there for Celtic. They had another good opportunity. A cross came in. Dyson Maeda crouched low, got somewhat of a diving header on the ball. Not a great connection on. It was a comfortable save for Neuer. So disappointed for Maeda that he couldn't score that. Bayern then towards the end, I think the last like 20 minutes, Bayern were dominant. They did have a shitload of possession in the Celtic half, and Celtic were sitting back, and it looked like Celtic were trying just to get to extra time. But I mean, you got to factor in as well, Celtic had made subs. They'd lost Jota, they'd lost Kuhn, they'd replaced them with Ida and Yang, and that's just a downgrade. It is what it is. No disrespect to any of those two players, but the Celtic team at this point was weaker. We had a penalty claim, which I don't think was a penalty at all. Schlupp on the ball. I think Bayern were just desperate. It looks like it was a good tackle from what I seen. So then Goretzka had a diving header wide of the target. This had Schmeichel beat, but fortunately it was wide. Sane had a shot wide. Again, Schmeichel beaten, but shot wasn't on target. And at this point, Bayern were getting closer. But you felt like Celtic were going to hang on, because we got into the 90th minute and you're thinking, right, you know what? Since the last 20 minutes, Celtic have rode their luck, but they're going to get into extra time and anything can happen. If they can take it to penalties, it's 50-50. And I am convinced at that point. I think Celtic know that, Bayern have got the better players on the bench. Obviously, they've got the better players on the field. Celtic's teams got weaker from like the hour mark, whereas Bayern Munich, they can effectively bring on anybody. I mean, they brought on Thomas Müller for like the last 40 seconds of the game, for God's sakes, and we know how good he is. So, like, Bayern Munich, they can bring on anybody. I think with 20 minutes to go, if you offered Celtic penalties, they would have snapped your fingers off, of course, and they were so close to getting it. The ball comes in. It's a good save from Schmeichel. He parries it to his right. Carter Vickers is first to it, and instantly he just tries to swipe it away first time. But unfortunately, Alphonso Davies is coming in at the back, and it just bounces off Davies and cruelly trickles into the back of the net. Nothing Vickers could really do after that. He just watched it go in, and he knew at that point it was over. Alphonso Davies celebrated like he'd scored a wonder goal. Bayern, I thought, were extremely lucky, and they get the win. Now, I mean, people are saying there was a foul in the build-up. McGregor was also asked about this foul in his post-match interview. I mean, I didn't see the foul, but maybe there was one. I don't know. I'd need to see a replay. If so, then are Celtic unlucky that VAR didn't pick up on that? If you've seen it, then let us know down below. I believe they're saying it was a foul on Ida, from what I'm seeing, but apparently it was like 30 seconds before the goal. So, yeah, I just didn't really notice it. But if there was a foul, then, that's turned out to be an absolute disaster for Celtic. Then Müller comes on, like I said, and I thought the referee should have added more time on here. I think Celtic were due at least an extra minute. The referee let them take the kick off, but it felt like they only got about 15-20 seconds, and then the referee blew. When you factor in that Alphonso Davies scored, and then Bayern did spend about a minute and a half celebrating, I think the referee did blow a bit prematurely, but I mean, we're talking maybe half a minute at the most. Would that have made a difference? Who knows? It maybe would have gave Celtic one chance to whip a ball into the box or whatnot. But look, at the end of the day, it's 1-1. It's a good result for Celtic on paper. If you take away the qualification, if you take away the aggregate, going to Germany and getting a 1-1 draw against Bayern Munich, that's a phenomenal result. Now, unfortunately for them, the result wasn't good enough because they didn't get the job done at Celtic Park. And had Celtic took a positive result from Celtic Park, then who knows? Maybe they would have still got this draw tonight. Maybe they'd be leaving Germany in the last 16 of the Champions League. But unfortunately, they are not. Now, the stats are very pro-Bayern. Overall possession, 67% for Bayern Munich. XG, 2.3 for Bayern Munich, 1.1 for Celtic. Shots, 23 Bayern, 5 Celtic. And shots on target, 10 for Bayern, 3 for Celtic. Goalkeeper saves, 9 for Celtic, 1 for Bayern. Corners, 7 for Bayern, 0 for Celtic. And touches inside the opposition box, 47 for Bayern and 9 for Celtic. Now look, those stats would suggest that it was a one-sided game, but I think that's unfair. Obviously Bayern are going to dominate possession. Bayern are the much better team. Bayern are going to have more opportunities. They're going to have more chances. I still think Celtic played really well though, despite those stats. And who knows, maybe if they were just a bit more clinical, maybe if they could have took one of their chances in the opening 20 minutes. You know, they had a Maeda chance as well in the second half. Maybe if he could have took that. I mean, who knows? Maybe if Yang didn't come on for Kuhn, if Kuhn didn't get injured, maybe if Jota was fully fit. It's all ifs and buts at the end of the day. But here, they played well. They can hold their head high. Disappointing to lose like that in the last moment of the game. But I think probably, I would say overall, over the two, there's not much in it. 3-2 might be a fair reflection, I think, because Celtic took so long to get started in their home tie. And then, as good as Celtic were in that first half, and as much as I think Celtic deserved a lead when they scored the goal against Bayern, you'd be kidding yourself if you didn't say for the last 20 minutes that Celtic were hanging on. I mean, it was all Bayern. And, you know, sooner or later you felt like Bayern were going to score. And unfortunately for Celtic, it was sooner and not later. So, yeah, great performance though. 3-2 in aggregate over the two legs, 180 minutes. Can't ask for much more than that. And maybe this will be a sign of things to come now for Celtic in this new Champions League format. Brendan Rodgers, it looks like Celtic are spending money now. If he stays at Celtic, you could expect this team to get better. And maybe with each passing year, we'll see Celtic get even more competitive in the Champions League. I don't think this is a one-off. I believe that going forward, we will see Celtic continue to get into the top 24 of this new Champions League phase. And I think it's only a matter of time before they do win a Champions League knockout tie, which was a crazy statistic. I could not believe it when they said Celtic have never won a Champions League knockout tie, and they came so close to getting that win tonight, but it wasn't to be. Anyway, guys, I mean, I am disappointed for Celtic because I always want to see Scottish teams do well, but it just wasn't to be tonight. I do think, though, towards the end of the game, Bayern were over Celtic. Do I think Celtic deserved to go through in the tie? No, but do I think they deserved extra time? I mean, probably, because they were good, you know, against a really good, you know, elite team in Europe. So it is what it is. Anyway, guys, that's it. Let us know your thoughts down below. Always next year. And now Celtic get to focus on the domestic scene. League pretty much wrapped up at this point. Scottish Cup up for grabs. It's looking like it's going to be a treble. Obviously, Celtic will do a double minimum, and they are massive favourites to do the treble. But who knows? We turn our the next big game, I think, now for Scottish football is probably, well, we need to find out who Rangers get in the Europa League, but that Hibernian Celtic game is looking really tasty in the Scottish Cup quarter-finals. So, yeah, looking forward to that. That's it, guys. Catch you in the next one, Being Fog Football. Disappointing, cruel way to end it, but in the end, Bayern go through 3-2 on aggregate. I'll catch you in the next one. Till then, peace.